Calgary Greenway.
Very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd like to take this opportunity to perhaps ask some questions of the Premier. We live in a situation where our single largest cost pressure is that of wages. We have a number of contracts that are in place that require continuous increases. Yet, about 20% of our contracts are up for renewal every single year. And this is a question I've posed last week to ministers as well. So, in this year, about 20% of the government's contracts with public sector unions and other partners are going to be up for renewal. Within this 5-month period that you are seeking interim supply, what is your plan to deal with those specific negotiations? How do you plan on curbing these expenditures? Do you foresee yourselves going to the bargaining table seeking 0% increases in this approximately 20% of contract renewals that are coming up during this year? Or do you see yourself going to the negotiating table by presenting raises of whatever magnitude, 2, 3, 4, 5%? So we'll start with that.
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much for the question, Honourable Member. I am in charge of that area within my ministry, and the officials have briefed me several times, but they've not identified any ongoing bargaining that's taking place right now that I need to be aware of or address. So I will be continuing to work with officials, obviously, within the ministry, but they've not identified that as a pressure point that I need to expend time on in this 30 days that I've been here. But I will be, of course, here over the summer with regard to budget preparations, and issues that come up in that period of time will be addressed within the full budget that we'll be bringing back in the fall.
Thank the Honourable Member for the question. To say that, of course, it would be irresponsible for us to talk about negotiation strategies prior to actually being part of the negotiation table. So having been on both sides of the table, we'll be happy to finalize and bring information forward once negotiations are complete, but I think it would not be wise for the employer to be talking about opening offers potentially in this venue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to, first of all, start by saying I really appreciate the frankness of the Finance Minister. Last week and this week, Minister, I appreciate you breaking down the budget in very simple formats. I don't think we agree that the numbers all add up, but you provided us with a basis. Now, I would ask you, though, to go back to your officials, because in any given year, approximately 20% of negotiations with a wide range of our partners. So it doesn't mean that the Government of Alberta is directly negotiating with these folks. It could be our post-secondary partners that have union negotiations that are ongoing. And to the Minister of Health, Minister, I absolutely agree that you shouldn't be talking about all of your strategy in public, but you need a broad policy objective, and you should have some accounting for that within this budget. A 5-month period is a very large period in which you establish some very clear frameworks. Now, whether you disagreed with us is fine, but we did provide a very clear understanding to our public sector partners and our unions. We said, listen, contracts that are signed, we obviously have to live up to. But on a go-forward basis, Alberta does not have the money. Alberta does not have the resources to be able to give you 2, 3, 4, 5%. It's just not it's not in the cards. It's just not feasible. So these are really important pieces. Now, I don't remember the date, but in your department, Minister of Health, you will have a very significant negotiation ongoing with the nurses. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity for you to provide us with some insight on the strategy within this next 5-month period of how you plan on moving forth in negotiations and preliminary discussions with nurses. If I remember correctly, negotiations were supposed to start later this year because, again, I'm going by memory, the contract is up next year, if I remember correctly. And so somebody from the other side yelled no, so perhaps he's a member of that, or was a member of that bargaining unit before. I would remind the member that he obviously will need to clear such issues with the Ethics Commissioner. But there's 20%. There's 20% of our union negotiations that take place on any given year. Madam Premier, there's probably, if I remember correctly, I'm going by memory, the post-secondaries. There'll be a number of post-secondaries. If you would ask your ministers to go and take a look, your post-secondary partners will have negotiations ongoing with their unions today. Right? So these are all really important pieces. And within a 5-month period, you're asking us to vote on billions of dollars here. We'd like to know what the strategy is. We'd like to know how many dollars are going towards that. Or are we just walking around saying, you know what, we'll deal with all other issues later. Let's make sure we sign some new contracts. I think that's a very, very important, relevant discussion that we need to be having. Because the fact is, I don't foresee our revenue pie growing very much. RBC, the Conference Board of Canada, are two of the latest people to step up and say we think Alberta's going to be in a recession this year. So in recessionary periods, your resource revenues are already coming down. You have business taxes that are not going to produce the types of results they did before. So we have a lot of expenditures, a lot more options, and I don't think we really have a lot of new spending restraints that are coming in. So if Finance Minister or Premier or Minister of Health, if we can get a commitment from you that just as some of the other unanswered questions that we have a commitment from the House Leader that he'll provide us with written answers. So if we can get a commitment from you to take a look and see which negotiations, which contracts are coming up for renewal in this year, and as I said, they can be your partners, our partners in the public sector. We just want a commitment that you'll tell us which ones are coming up and how you plan on dealing with those within this period of 5 months. Is that a commitment we can get from you?
Would like to say that compensation for public sector accounts for about 24 billion of the 48 or so billion that the provincial budget is. So it's pretty substantial. Thank you for raising that.